Is anyone hurt? It's just me. Is anyone hurt?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. There are a lot of questions about what happened to the Hulk at the end of Spider-Man Brand New Day and what Marvel is planning on doing with him going forward, since so many things are changing in the MCU the next couple of years, heading into Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, the new X-Men era, the movies, and Marvel Phase 7, and everything beyond that. Mark Ruffalo, Kevin Feige, the Marvel people have already revealed a lot of Hulk plans, and they address what happened to his son Scar and what the other Hulk characters are doing in the MCU, so we will break it all down, because there are a lot of Hulk-related plans that Marvel has going forward. Predictably, a lot of those future movie plans involving crossing Hulk over with other X-Men characters like Hulk vs. Wolverine, Hulk vs. Juggernaut. There's so many cool Hulk stories that Marvel has not been able to do until now because it's taken them this long to do new X-Men stories. Careful for spoilers for the movie if you haven't seen it yet. We'll mostly be talking about the ending. During Spider-Man and Punisher's fight with the Hulk, he said Sadie Sink's Jean Grey broke something in his mind. There's a very important reason why they added that line of dialogue, and it's what caused the Savage Hulk to reassert control over the body in return for the first time since the beginning of Avengers Infinity War. Been almost 10 years since we've seen Savage Hulk in the MCU. But when you examine both versions, notice that this new Savage Hulk was much bigger and way madder than Infinity War Hulk, who are both much bigger than Professor Hulk to boot. So this version in Brand New Day is meant to be the strongest, maddest version he has ever been inside the MCU, the most Savage Hulk he has ever been since even before Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton days. The madder Hulk gets, the bigger he gets to a point. His strength is virtually limitless, but his size does plateau at a certain point. The only real exception to that is Ang Lee's Hulk with Eric Bana's version. He was like way bigger than any version of Hulk ever, like he was oversized Hulk. But the main reason why Marvel added that twist, Sadie Sink's Jean Grey breaking his mind and the Savage Hulk coming back, those specific lines of dialogue, are because Brand New Day was meant to serve as a creative reimagining of a couple different characters, Spider-Man, Hulk, and Jean Grey the X-Men. Like, now vastly different looking versions heading forward, like very different from what they've done before with the characters in all the different versions. Both fans and Marvel felt like they had hit a wall with the Professor Hulk character development and what was going on with Banner, so at the end of Marvel Phase 4, their plans of introducing his son Scar weren't really panning out the way they originally intended, or with She-Hulk either. Originally, during Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, Scar, She-Hulk, and Thunderbolt Ross Red Hulk were meant to be Marvel's way of getting around the universal legal problem, preventing them from releasing solo movies with Banner's Hulk. When they were still doing a ton of live-action Disney Plus series, spending a whole bunch of money on that, they were trying to introduce this new Red Hulk twist with Harrison Ford recast as a Thunderbolt Ross character.
Get off my plane.
All as a way to do larger Hulk stories because they felt they kind of stalled out with the Bruce Banner character and done as many stories as they could with him up to this point with the way he existed as Professor Hulk. And Marvel wanted to be able to tell more Hulk stories, so they needed more Hulk characters, but we saw how that all went. It did not go well. It did not pan out the way they intended. So their easy solution, and it's a good solution, is just use Sadie Sink's Jean Grey to metaphorically hit the reset button on Hulk, like boom, press the button in his mind, he is back to square one. Now we can tell all the Savage Hulk stories that we haven't gotten around to yet that we want to tell, now that we have all the other X-Men and other wider MCU characters that we didn't have access to before. And they used the movie Brand New Day to showcase what is probably the coolest Hulk fight scene with Spider-Man that we've ever seen in the MCU, getting people hyped up to see more movies with this version of Hulk. Like, we want to see more of this Hulk in the future. But Marvel didn't vanish Scar either. There's a picture of him on Banner's desk in his office when they're fighting, meaning that Marvel is just waiting to bring him back at some point. Originally, it would have been for more Hulk crossover stories with the other new Hulk characters and Young Avengers related stories, but a lot of Marvel's plans for those have also changed significantly the past couple of years. There was also a moment during their fight that a lot of people missed. When Hulk is about to crush Spider-Man's head with a punch, Peter calls out to him, saying, "Remember me, I'm Peter Parker, I'm your friend," and it becomes their Martha moment in the movie. And the look on Hulk's face is of remembrance. He's remembering Peter Parker is Spider-Man and was his friend, and relents, allowing himself to fall and change back into Banner form. This was Marvel's way of paying off the comic book version of this moment, which is actually pretty iconic, where Doctor Strange's spell is revealed to have not worked on Hulk's mind the same way it worked on Banner's mind, so Spider-Man is astonished to realize that the Hulk remembers who he is. He's Peter Parker, but Banner does not. In the movie, after he's changed back into Banner and they're carting him off, he doesn't know again. He forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man just because the spell is still working on his mind, is still active. We know this because during Hulk's ending, when the medics are carting him off in an ambulance, he doesn't remember anything from the fight. He's just worried that he hurt people and caused a bunch of damage. Like, did I hurt anybody else? Was it just me? What did I do? What did I do? So this is how you know, right now at least, Banner doesn't suddenly know that Peter is Spider-Man again. He doesn't remember anything from that moment because the Hulk's mind was dominant at the moment. The Hulk still remembers, though, when they eventually encounter each other again. Oh, I remember you, in Hulk's voice. Savage Hulk isn't that chatty, so if he sees Peter again, he'll probably just grunt in his direction, and Peter will take that as him remembering who he is. Speaking of Savage Hulk talking, one of the other creative ways they changed the Hulk's character going forward now is the way they actually vocalize his voice, Banner's voice. Mark Ruffalo does way more of the voice himself, and they change it way less with post-processing. When you rewatch the older Marvel movies with Savage Hulk, they change his voice way more, like there's way heavier processing on it, so it sounds way less like actual Mark Ruffalo's voice. They said one of their reasons for doing that in this movie is that it made his voice sound even more monstrous, like he meant to sound like a human who just turned into this monstrous form. For a little while in the movie, they considered turning him into Grey Hulk too. You can see in the concept art that leaked out, but they just stuck with the Green Savage version of Hulk because of all their future Hulk plans. Basically wanted to set him up for all the stuff they want to do with him down the road. Later in the movie, the news broadcast says they took Banner to a psych ward for holding, and that's the last you hear of him from any of the characters in the movie itself. What's really going on with him, though, with Hulk, is the damage control. Despite the current tragedy in the movie, the implication that the government and Yelena, the new Avengers, are investigating their actions, damage control is still very active, and they still have a much larger prison that we saw during Wonder Man and She-Hulk, where they were keeping the Abomination. This is where they would ultimately take Hulk to hold him, because currently it's the strongest facility that they have on the planet, even though I don't think anybody believes that it could actually hold Savage Hulk if he really wanted out. But here's the idea. Banner, at the end of the movie, is so worried, so mortified by his actions, that the movie implies he's too afraid now that he's lost control over his transformations, like pre-Incredible Hulk state, where he could change on a dime at any moment. All those years of Avengers movies learning to practice control over it are gone because of what Jean Grey did. He is back to square one. Realistically, that means he stays in the prison cell damage control puts him in while he tries to figure it out, afraid of what he'll do next, trying to just heal whatever damage Jean Grey broke inside his mind. This is also why he's not the first call the Avengers make in the Avengers Doomsday trailer later in the timeline. Like, he could be their miracle if he was able to control Savage Hulk, which he cannot right now. The entire events of that trailer take place after Spider-Man Brand New Day. Hulk might still have a cameo in that movie, but I don't think he's going to be fighting Doctor Doom. We have already seen the footage from their final fight in the movie and on the X-Men's world with all the Sentinels Doctor Doom is controlling. They actually released that inside Comic-Con and Hall H, even though they haven't allowed all that footage online yet. There's a lot of potato quality versions of that. They have this big multiverse Avengers Assemble 360 wraparound shot aping the one from the first Avengers movie with all the different characters, but Hulk is nowhere in this scene, and I do not think that Marvel is secretly hiding him or anything like that. He's not there because Banner is still too afraid of the Hulk coming out in Doctor Doom, and the incursions happen so suddenly, it's all over so quickly that he doesn't have time to get his crap together to actually help them out.
We're going to need a miracle.
This is one of the other key details you have to remember about Avengers Doomsday is that it all happens real fast. Incursions happen, boom, worlds colliding, they bifrost to the X-Men's world, everybody fights, Doctor Doom reveals himself with a sudden heel turn, they fight, and then he creates Battle World and collapses the rest of the multiverse. Everybody who doesn't die in Avengers Doomsday they want to keep to Secret Wars wakes up on Battleworld. That was what the Spider-Man Brand New Day post-credit scene was all about. It kind of jumped over the events of Doomsday because it was meant to show you what's happening at the beginning of Secret Wars. And based on all the concept art that leaked out last year, they might do a simpler version of the Greenland subplot from the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars run, where there's a ton of Hulks running around in the movie. I don't think they're literally going to do that Greenland subplot. There are a lot of really cool characters that I hope that they do from that, a lot of deep cuts, but they'll have some version of a bunch of Hulks running around. While I was doing research for Spider-Man Brand New Day, I found Sadie Sink's movie she did with Eric Bana, just reminding me that they need to bring Eric Bana's version of Hulk back at some point for some kind of cameo scene. While you're at it, Marvel, also find a way to bring Edward Norton back too. Heal the damage, the beef between Kevin Feige and Edward Norton. He's like the only person that I've ever heard Kevin Feige speak poorly of. All the drama that happened between them on the set of Incredible Hulk that led to Mark Ruffalo's recasting in the first Avengers movie is like the subject of an entirely different video that I could do. You could talk for an hour about what happened with all that. The TLDR on that is that there's a lot of ego involved. But after Secret Wars and the soft reboot Marvel is doing for Marvel Phase 7 to sort of retune things and onboard a whole bunch of brand new fans with this new X-Men reboot cast in 2028, they have all kinds of new Hulk movie plans, just not solo movies, because Marvel still doesn't have the full rights they need from Universal for distribution to be able to do that. It's not a problem of being able to use the Hulk, it's a problem of being able to release Hulk solo movies. Whatever black magic Universal's lawyers worked up in their contracts for the Hulk characters, it just seems like Kevin Feige believes he's never going to be able to do a Hulk solo movie. Mark Ruffalo said that's what Kevin Feige told him, so we will see if that changes at some point in the future. I would say never is the Hollywood go-to. So many crazy things have happened behind the scenes with different franchises, with DC, now with Marvel, that you just do not bet on anything. Literally any circumstance can change on a dime for any reason. But at least right now, because Kevin Feige has to actually plan these movies at least 5 years in advance, so they start writing contracts and actually start production a couple years before they come out. So this all starts pretty early on before the movie actually hits theaters. They have to stick to the Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Brand New Day thing of just mashing Hulk stories up with other characters, and they can't use Hulk in the title of the movie. But within those restrictions, they can literally do anything that they want with the Hulk. They can do any Hulk story from the comics. No permission from Universal required. They just do whatever they want. Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of Spider-Man Brand New Day, said that Mark Ruffalo was pitching him some really good Hulk movie ideas while they were filming all of his scenes in the movie. If they wind up doing any of those, and they sound like they're fantastic, it would have to be with other characters in different movie titles.
John Byrne, Brown, and Tan. Now, you fought the Hulk in this outfit, no?
The ones we know about so far that I think have the strongest chance of surviving through development hell and actually getting made, like actually hitting theaters that we can see with our eyeballs, are the rumored Wolverine vs. Hulk movie with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. They teased that story from the comics in Deadpool and Wolverine. Reportedly, Marvel actually wanted to do a full version of that as a movie. There's going to be a lot of Wolverine-related questions going forward too, because they're introducing the new X-Men actors. Like we just found out about the new version of Cyclops and the new version of Emma Frost and the new version of Jean Grey. We'll hear about the other new X-Men in the next couple of weeks. Kevin Feige has already said that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will stick around for a little bit longer, but eventually they will recast another younger version of the actor, and he'll be like the main MCU version of Wolverine that'll interact with the other new X-Men actors. But I don't think that Wolverine is meant to appear in the new X-Men 2028 movie exactly for that reason. They're just waiting a little bit longer to recast the younger version and connect him with those younger characters. So Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will sort of transition to the emeritus Old Man Logan version of the character, which they kind of did in Marvel Comics, where there were multiple versions of Wolverine running around at the same time. There's a World War Hulk story, but with a different title and a bunch more Avengers characters and now X-Men, because they would have arrived at this point. The new X-Men 2028 movie would have already been released at this point. That would give them the opportunity to do Hulk versus Sentry from the comics. They'd introduce Scar back in for the story She-Hulk. They'd probably bring Red Hulk back too. If Harrison Ford doesn't want to continue as the character anymore, they'll just recast him again. Bring back the leader, other Hulk characters coming back to introduce more from the comics. There's a lot of Hulk characters that they have not done from the comics, or they did versions of, like lesser versions that you just haven't seen in many, many years. And outside of the major Hulk stories from the comics, like the real seminal ones that they haven't got to yet, you just see them incorporate him more with other X-Men related movies and characters and ongoing stories. Like Hulk vs. Juggernaut is something that Marvel fans would definitely want to see. The unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Who's going to win? The MCU changes stuff a lot, but I would still place bets on the Hulk in that fight. Like ultimately the Hulk would probably eventually win. But that is basically Marvel's current plans for the Bruce Banner version of Hulk right now and some of the other Hulk-related characters. They do plan on having a lot of Hulk stuff show up in the future movies, but they still have to include them in other people's movies, like big crossover movies. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and let me know which other future movies you want them to do with Hulk now that they've reset him back to classic Savage Hulk. I'm in the middle of working on a couple more Spider-Man videos and Avengers Doomsday videos. If you have special requests or any big questions about things that I haven't addressed in my previous videos, just write them below in the comments. Everybody click here for my larger Brand New Day videos, and click here for all my other Avengers Doomsday trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.